John Felt here, and this is the Blue Water Outlook weekly weather briefing for May 5th. Question is, we have had a lot of action over the last 2 or 3 weeks. Will it be ending? And the answer is yes, it will. We have a weather transition ahead I'm going to be talking about in today's weather briefing, so stay tuned. Well, first off, you probably heard about the severe extreme flooding near Houston. 10 to 15 inches of rain over a short period of time. And I'm asked occasionally, and I think about, is this climate change? Well, here's how I would answer that, is that, and the severe weather we've had the last 2 or 3 weeks, is that due to climate change? Well, most cases you can't say a definitive yes or no. Now, sometimes in summertime with temperatures you might, but it is severe weather season. We do get strong tornadoes in severe weather season. So I don't think you can say that the tornado action necessarily was due to climate change. So probably not. Now, extreme rain events, on the other hand, research is showing a stronger correlation, and that's because the warmer ocean water can hold more moisture at higher levels, and then that pulls that into these systems inland, and it focuses along a boundary that lifts that moisture, and we get extreme rainfall events. So could there be a climate change link? Possibly. Now, like I said, a lot of severe storm activity last week over the central U.S., heavy rain, green, lots of large hail in purple, and look at all the tornadoes here. Another week of tornadoes, lots of tornadoes over the central U.S. plains. Now, this was the April tornado tracks, and after several years of really being pretty quiet over Tornado Alley, this year been pretty active right through the core of Tornado Alley from Texas all the way up into Nebraska and Iowa. And we had these tracks sort of working off it right here. This was the first one early in the season along the Gulf Coast. And it actually brought us back pretty close to normal on tornado activity, because before the last 2 or 3 weeks, we were running less than normal. And tremendous images, both video, drone, and radar. And look at this here. Look at that rotation. This is, I believe, in Texas, and you can actually see an eye in here. And this is the velocity, and this shows very clearly the rotation here of the actual supercell, the rotation of the thunderstorm. And right in the middle, this is gate-to-gate shear right in here. And what we have here is right in there, we have the actual tornado. So it's amazing, these strong tornadoes, what you can see on Doppler radar. And there was just so much out there. It was really amazing. The storm spotters just got amazing images. So here's our precipitation last week. Most of it was associated with that severe weather. Houston really stands out in North Texas, but it extends northward all the way up into the upper Midwest. And then along the West Coast, we also had some heavy rain along parts of the Oregon and Washington coast, and parts of California as well. We're still getting some snow at higher elevations. Okay, so a lot of this action was due to strong gradients. In this case, warmer air in the east and colder air in the west. This was the average temperatures for the last 7 days. And we also have a boundary here between some moist air with dew points in the 60s and even 70s, and some really dry air. So the question is, what's going to win? Is it going to be continuation of the unstable air, or is it going to be a continuation or a new push of some stable air? Well, we have a big area of high pressure here. That's the stable air, and that's pushed this cold front a bit to the east. But we have a couple waves that are moving along that, and that is going to go into early in the week, and eventually that high pressure is going to win. Now, as far as the river situation goes, pretty typical for spring in April and May. We have pulses of water coming down. We have water coming down the upper Mississippi. Here's Grafton. We have water coming down the Missouri here. That's St. Charles. And at St. Louis, we have some water coming down, but it's generally minor flooding. Red is moderate in a few spots. You can see the really significant flooding. Purple is major or record. And along the East Coast as well, we have some high flows. And if you saw my post from Thursday, I rode my bike down to the Missouri River here at St. Charles, and lots of debris in the water, and that was caused by the flows have not been that high for quite some time. So that's bringing a lot of the dead debris and vegetation, bringing it downstream. Okay, so we've had this area of high pressure over a large part of the central and eastern U.S., and we have this robust area of low pressure here, another area of low pressure here. And by middle of the week, we're going to have a strong ridge of high pressure in the Pacific Northwest and a dip over a large part of the central and east. And that's going to change our temperature pattern quite a bit. So what we're going to have is we're going to go from the cold western U.S. is going to transition into warm or warmer than normal, and the warm central and eastern U.S. is going to transition into colder than normal temperatures over the next week, and that's going to persist most likely into the middle of the month. This is Des Moines. Just give you a representation right in the middle of that air mass transition. Some mild weather here, then it dips down as we get later in the week as a cold front comes through, and then it sort of stabilizes right here in the low 70s. So I don't know if I'd call that cool weather or pleasant weather, but cool mornings, probably pleasant afternoons. So some really nice spring weather ahead in many areas. Now, I've been talking a bit, it's been on my mind, on planting delays and fieldwork delays over Midwest growing regions. And if you take a look at wherever you see blue, especially dark blue and purple, there is soggy fields more likely, and that is resulting in field work or planting delays. So we don't need much more rain. Soil moisture is recharged in many areas. I'll take a look at the drought monitor later this week to confirm that, but for the most part, we don't need that much additional rain. So as far as rain goes this week, we're going to have some additional rain in Montana, and then the eastern U.S. here, but primarily along the southern part of the Ohio River Valley, where we could get 1 to 3 inches of rain, locally 4 inches of rain over parts of Kentucky and Tennessee. Now, as far as the threats assessment this week, I think the big story is going to be tomorrow, where we already have a moderate risk. So this could be a significant severe weather outbreak in Oklahoma and Kansas. And then as we get into Tuesday, that could extend to the east. And so this is going to be ushering a cold front that's going to be that transition. We also have some excessive rain potential with the stronger thunderstorms and a wildfire risk. Okay, and finally, let's take a look at week 2. And it looks like in week 2, not much change. Look at this, warm and cool. So it looks like once we transition into that pattern as we go through the week, that's going to stay there. And this is going to be a big change as well, not just temperature, but precipitation. It looks like we're going to have a dry pattern. So we're going to have in the large parts of the nation that have been unsettled for the last 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to have some really pleasant weather ahead as we get into the middle part of the month. Okay, and finally, to end the briefing, let's talk about some trends for climatology, and this goes back really pretty far, 1949 through last year. These are just trends in precipitation and precipitation over here, temperature over here. I found it interesting that these key Midwest ag regions have been getting wetter, and you know, it does pose a bit of a problem in early spring for planting and field work, but it really does help throughout the entire growing season because it recharges that soil moisture. So anyway, that's this week's briefing. I hope you all have a great week. If you're in the area that's going to be getting this nice spring weather, enjoy it, and be alert for that severe weather as we get into the early part of the week. Take care.